They tell a story about a fellow who went to the doctor and he said, I have a cold. The doctor checked him out and said, look, it's just a common cold. Just get some rest, have some hot tea, and you'll be fine. But the patient said, doctor, isn't this something you could prescribe for me? So the doctor said, I'll tell you what. Go home and take a cold shower. And then when you get out of the shower, stand in front of the air conditioner. And the guy says to the doctor, are you crazy? I'll catch pneumonia. The doctor said, well, for pneumonia, I could prescribe something. This week's Torah portion, we have a very interesting and beautiful commandment. The Torah says, V'chi yamuch achicha, when your brother becomes impoverished and his hand falters, v'hechazakta bo, you shall strengthen him. Now, simply read, it seems like the Torah is saying that if someone becomes poor, you should give him charity. But there are various other commandments in the Torah that tell us about giving charity. Why does the Torah say if your brother becomes impoverished and his hand falters, you should strengthen him? And the Talmud explains beautifully that a person, when they are beginning to falter, before they actually fall into poverty, when their hand begins to weaken, that is the time to strengthen them. What does that mean? Says the Talmud, when a donkey and its weight is overburdened and it collapses to the ground, it takes 5 people to lift up the donkey with its packages. But if the donkey begins to wobble and shake as it's about to collapse, one person could walk up, put their hands up on the side of the donkey and stabilize it. So too the Talmud says that when a person collapses into poverty, it's so much more difficult to rehabilitate them. However, when they begin to falter, that's the time to lend them some support and strengthen them, whether it's with some financial assistance, a loan, or sometimes even some emotional encouragement and support to make sure that they don't fall down. Many times we solve problems after it's too late or it's very difficult. The best medicine is preventive medicine. Don't wait till someone falls into addiction before you try to rehabilitate them. When you see them going off course, draw them back, strengthen them. It'll be much more simpler to solve than once the person got pneumonia already. Now, we're now in the days of the Omer, when we do not perform weddings up until Lag BaOmer, and some don't even have weddings till Shavuot, and no live music, because we're mourning the passing of the students of Rabbi Akiva. Now, every year we try to remember the students of Rabbi Akiva who died, because they had lack of empathy and love for one another. But it's hard to connect with something that happened almost 2,000 years ago. But this year, after the tragedy in Meron, every Jew feels the pain of what Rabbi Akiva and his students and the Jewish people must have been feeling at the time. Because we all feel low, we all feel impoverished emotionally, saddened by the tragic events of the loss of 45 lives. But the Torah tells us when someone is feeling low, what you need to do is strengthen them. That's precisely when we need to support one another and unify. And indeed, this Shabbat we're going to finish the 3rd book of the Torah. And Jews around the world will rise to their feet and call out, Chazak, Chazak, v'nis chazek. Let's be strong. Let's strengthen one another. Because only by strengthening each other will we be able to make sure that we don't fall into a lowly state of mind and heart and spirit. And I want to share with you something that pains me very much in our own community. There's a wonderful woman by the name of Tatiana Kurbatov. She was in a tragic car accident which left her paralyzed, completely paralyzed, and bound to a wheelchair. And she had a special van that took her around with a wheelchair ramp to be able to go to outings, appointments, doctor's appointments, or to just go have fun, go to the park and enjoy life as best as she can. But sadly, her car broke down, and now she's not only wheelchair bound, but bound to her home. And she reached out for some help. And this week's Torah portion and the verse, when your brother becomes, or your sister becomes low or impoverished or faces a challenge, strengthen them, give them encouragement, give them hope, give them support, calls upon each and every one of us to help her buy a new van. She needs $28,000 to buy a van with a wheelchair ramp so she can get around and enjoy the beautiful world around her to the best of her physical ability. And I'm asking everyone who hears this video to please go on the link below and do whatever you can. And let us turn the tragedy of Miron and the sadness of these days into joy for others by realizing that in life we all go through struggles, we all go through challenges, but that's precisely why we have each other to help fulfill the verse in this week's Torah portion. When you see your brother or sister is low, yamuch, vehachzaktabo, strengthen them. We have an opportunity in our community to strengthen a member of our very own synagogue by showing them love, support, and giving them hope and a brighter day. I hope you will join me in helping her buy a beautiful van with a ramp so she could enjoy life just like we enjoy life. And this will be a tremendous mitzvah for the Palm Beach Synagogue and all those who are friends and family of the synagogue, and help Tatiana today with this important mitzvah. Thank you.